things that we don't really think about that we see pretty frequently in the fall are all these things that we could potentially be allergic to. And while it's getting towards the autumn, it's not quite the autumn yet, but I am seeing it in myself, being wheezy and sneezy and so forth, just about every morning, cold and so on, is that there are several things in the environment that are bothering me. I'm aiming at the ground here because underneath all of this is, you don't see it, but there's mold in and underneath all of that dry grass. So coming to a little clump of it here. If we just turn this over, it's damp underneath, and all of that sort of whitish on the grass there is mold. And it's in compost piles and so forth. And then I look around, and there are other things. That's something in the daisy family, or fleabane, I think it is. I'll have to look that up. There is the bloom from stinging nettle, which is inactivated. There is ragweed, but I don't see any here. But goldenrod is a really big one. If we look beyond the fields of goldenrod and so on, then there's dust and pollen and other things in the air, which you can't see from here, and little tiny insects and anything. When you look into the sunlight, sometimes you see little bits of things floating by. Yeah, there are some insects flying through there. I'm sure there are bees and other flying insects going after pollen and whatnot. But there's a ton of stuff out in the environment, particularly when it gets dry, where you get a little period of rain and mold and spore and so on comes up and kicks up, and then dust and pollen and all these things that could potentially bother us. So I think in order to help people get over their allergies and come down to earth with it a little bit, I mean, yes, remediate what you need to in the way you need to do it. But go to an apothecary or a store or a farm stand or whatnot where you can pick up honey and have particularly raw honey. Have a teaspoon of honey before you go to bed. Often honey is listed according to, particularly in alternative stores and even online sometimes, as to being what the primary flowers are that the bees are accessing to make honey. And allergy honey sometimes is good. There are a few different kinds of honey, but what you want is wildflower honey, so that you can become acclimated through sort of a homeopathic dose of the concentrates of pollen and those things that activate our histamine reaction. Another thing that helps with histamines and histamine reaction is to use, there's a product over the counter in CVS and various pharmacies and whatnot in the Northeast called cromolyn sodium. And it's a form of sodium that is absorbed easily and quickly nasally, and it's put in nasal bottles. And what it does is stimulate your histamine reaction so that your body can compensate and deal with it. So it stimulates it sort of a way of, I would almost say homeopathically, but it's not homeopathic. But cromolyn sodium, it's relatively harmless, and it can be used to promote a healthy histamine response that isn't overkill of what your body does when you're reacting to a stimulant in the environment. So thank you for watching, and thank you for staying curious, and thank you for subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. I have a wealth of information, and although I've moved a little bit away from identifying plants and critters on a regular basis. We're moving into the fall, and those things should be picking up relatively soon as well. Fungi and several other things that I know we'll be seeing when we have a little more water and cooler temperatures. So again, thank you and have a wonderful day. Cheers.